Hey, it's Ash from Revolution Me, and this video is about why I think vegans should have children. Now, I'm going to preface this video by saying that if you've already decided that you don't want to have children, I'm not here to try and convince you otherwise. The reason I'm doing this video is because there's been a lot of conversation about this issue, about how it's unethical for vegans to bring more people into the world. And there's one really important point that keeps getting overlooked in the whole conversation. And so I'm doing this video to raise that point because I think it's not as simple as just stop having more children. I don't think that's the solution to the problems of the world today. So the reason that a lot of vegans are saying that we shouldn't have children is because of firstly, the number of children who need foster homes or need to be adopted. There's an abundance of children who need homes. So why bring more children into the world when we can adopt or foster instead? And the second reason is obviously overpopulation. We already have too many people on the planet. There aren't enough resources to be able to feed everyone and give everyone basic healthcare, sanitation, shelter, and so on. So why would we bring more people into the world and just add to the burden? Let's get to the point of this video, which is one really important issue that gets overlooked whenever we're talking about vegans having children. And that is, vegans tend to raise compassionate kids. So what do I mean by this? Compassionate people tend to raise compassionate kids. The way we're raised has a huge bearing on who we become as adults. Now, I'm not saying that if you're raised vegan or if you're raised by vegan parents that you're going to be vegan for the rest of your life. Similarly, just because you're raised to be a meat eater doesn't mean that you're going to be a meat eater for the rest of your life. Of course, people change. As we become adults, we can start to think about the values and the beliefs that we took on as kids, and we can decide for ourselves whether we want to uphold them or do something differently. However, what I do believe is that when you have conscious, compassionate people raising children to also be conscious and compassionate, then the chances are much higher that those children are going to do good things for the world. I know this is a very simplistic explanation. However, this is essentially what's missing in the conversation about whether it's ethical to have kids. I feel that it's a very short-term solution to just tell people not to have children. Because when in fact, if we've got conscious people raising conscious kids, then those kids might actually do an enormous amount of good for the world. It's kind of like saying, in order to reduce the world's population, I could just no longer exist. Or I could exist and I could help to influence others to live a more compassionate life and help others to go vegan and help others to raise compassionate children, which incidentally is what I do. So maybe in that situation, it's worth it for me, for my life and to consume the amount of resources that I am, if it means that I'm having a much bigger impact in the long run, in the long term. And I feel that it's the same with children. To say that we should just not have children, it overlooks the future generations, because the kids we raise today are the ones who are going to be the leaders of tomorrow. They're going to be the thought leaders. They're going to be the future problem solvers. And if we raise our kids to be compassionate, then they're going to influence the planet for the better. So perhaps having children now and raising them to be conscious, compassionate people is actually going to be better for the planet in the long run. Now, you might not believe or you might not agree with what I'm saying, and that's cool. One of the great things is that we can all have different opinions about this very, very complex issue. The reason I'm doing this video is to add to the conversation that's already existing. Is it vegan? Is it ethical to have children? I think it's not as simple as saying that we should just stop having kids. I think that if you want to have children, if you're able to provide for them, if you're able to care for them and nurture them and be a conscious parent and be a receptive and responsible parent, then you're going to raise kids. Most likely you're going to be raising kids who will also uphold those same values. Whereas if we just tell people to stop having children, then it's a very short-term solution. So that's pretty much all I wanted to say in this video. So I'd love to know your thoughts on this issue. What have you decided? Have you decided to have children, or do you think that it's better for the planet if we just stop having children? Let me know your thoughts. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Dr. Ash from Revolution Me, and I'll see you in the next video.